Tiberius Claudius Nero Germanicus was the third emperor of the Julio-Claudian dynasty. His reign represents a turning point in the history of the Principate for a number of reasons, not the least for the manner of his accession and the implications that it carried for the nature of his office. During his reign, he promoted administrators who did not belong to the senatorial or equestrian classes, and was later vilified by authors who did. He followed Caesar in the carrying of Roman arms across the English Channel into Britain, which today still remains one of the closest researched corners of the Roman Empire. His relationships with his wives and children provide detailed insights into the perennial difficulties of the succession problem faced by all Roman emperors. Claudius was born on August 1st in 10 BC in Gaul, into the heart of the Julio-Claudian dynasty. He was the son of Drusus Claudio Nero and Antonia, the daughter of Mark Antony. It might be expected that Claudius, as a well-connected imperial prince, would have enjoyed the active public life customary for young men of his standing. But this was not the case. In an age that despised weakness, Claudius was unfortunate enough to have been born with defects. He limped, he drooled, he stuttered, and was constantly ill. His family members mistook these physical debilities as reflective of mental infirmity and generally kept him out of the public eye as an embarrassment. A sign of this familial disdain is that he remained under guardianship, like a woman, even after he reached the age of majority. From the same source, however, it emerges that Augustus suspected there was more to this idiot than met the eye.
For instance, he was carried to the capital in a litter at night.
He became a scholar of considerable ability and composed works on all subjects and liberal arts, especially history. He was the last person we know of who could read Etruscan. These skills and the knowledge of governmental institutions he acquired from studying history were to stand him in good stead for when he came to power. It should not be forgotten that Claudius's wing of the family suffered terribly in the internal struggles for succession that racked the imperial house. His father died on campaign when Claudius was only 1 year old, and his beloved brother Germanicus was succumbed under suspicious circumstances in AD 19. Claudius's fortunes changed somewhat when his unstable nephew Gaius came to power in the spring of 37 AD. Gaius, it seemed, liked to use his bookish, frail uncle as the butt of cruel jokes, and in keeping with this pattern of behavior, promoted him to a consulship. At age 46, it was Claudius's first public office. Despite this sortie into public life, he seemed destined for a relatively quiet and secluded dotage, one until January 41, when events overtook him. Arguably, the most important period in Claudius's reign was within its first few hours. The events surrounding this ascension are worthy of great detail, since they reveal much about the true nature of the Augustan Principate. The German elements of the emperor's bodyguard, who were fiercely loyal to their chief, went on a rampage and killed indiscriminately. Soldiers from the larger Praetorian Guard began looting the imperial palace. A hapless Claudius falls into power entirely as a result of accident, and very much against his will. It is not hard to see why, with his implicit theme of Recusatio in Imperi, it is a story of his ascension that Claudius himself favored. Fixing their intentions on Claudius as the only surviving mature member of the Julio-Claudian house, they sent out a party of troops to find him and bring him back to their camp so he could be acclaimed emperor, which is what happened. Despite the circumstances that brought him there, the hours following Claudius's arrival at the Praetorian camp and his acceptance as emperor by the state are vital ones for the history of the Principate News of Gaius's death prompted a meeting of the Senate. Initially, there was a talk of declaring the Republic restored and dispensing with emperors altogether. Then, however, various senators began proposing that they be chosen as the next princeps. Debate was in progress when news reached the senators that the Guard had made the decision for them. Claudius, the soldier's choice, was sitting in the Praetorian camp. Regardless of how the negotiations were conducted, the Senate quickly realized it was powerless in the presence of several thousand armed men supporting Claudius's candidacy.
The impotence
That the esteemed council had experienced time and again was when dealing with the military dynasts of the late Republic was more revealed to all, and the meeting dissolved with the fate of the emperor left undecided. Completely powerless, the senators hurried off to the Praetorian camps to pay their respects to Claudius. On January 25th, 41 AD, Claudius was formally invested with all the powers of the princeps, becoming T. Claudius Caesar Augustus Germanicus. The years between his marriage to Agrippina in 48 and his death in 54 were difficult ones for Claudius. Agrippina's powerful position facilitated the advancement of her son Domitius and was in turn strengthened by it. Claudius had already a natural son, Britannicus, who was still a minor. Domitius was known as Nero Claudius Drusus Germanicus Caesar, and known to posterity simply as Nero. In AD 53, Nero married Claudius's daughter Octavia. All of these are sure signs of preference in the ever unstable imperial succession schemes. The main difficulty for modern scholars today lies in how to explain Claudius's favor of Nero over his natural son, Britannicus. The reasons remain a matter of intense debate. Claudius was poisoned with a treated mushroom, that he lingered a while and had to be poisoned a second time before dying on October 13th, 54 AD. At noon that same day, the 16-year-old Nero was acclaimed emperor in a carefully orchestrated piece of political theater. Already familiar to the army and the public, he faced no serious challenges to his authority. This has been the life of Claudius I. My name is Zach Johnson. We hope you enjoyed.